Okay, all right, I'm back with another video to talk a little bit more about the concept of living in a hotel um, or living in Airbnbs. Now, what gave me the idea to lean into it more was, like I said in my previous video, I was putting a lot of pressure on myself. I was starting to make myself feel stressed because the savings that I had was gone. So I was like, well, what am I going to do? I don't want to do this forever. And part of that was my just being tired. But being tired has nothing to do about where I'm staying. The tiredness is a completely different issue. But sometimes when you're tired, you don't necessarily have the most positive outlook on something, right? But then I was thinking about, I was like, listen, I know, like, Nicole, you know for a fact that there are families that have lived like in the world, they live in the Waldorf. Um, you know, granted, Paris Hilton's family owns the Hilton dynasty, but they lived, I'm pretty sure they lived there. They lived in New York for a period of time in the hotels. My point is, obviously, I'm sure you've heard that, a certain demographic, a certain wealth bracket, they do live this kind of lifestyle. There are certain wealthy people or rich people who don't necessarily own a house or whatever because they understand it's like this turnkey lifestyle. And really think about this, okay? Because like as I was thinking about it a little bit more and more today, like little different things come to my mind. And again, like when you look at like stuff that's shown on the news or on video clips on YouTube, which probably usually more than likely are some news clip from some station in whatever state, whatever like that. And it's always like, it always seems like there's this stigma with being unhoused, right? I mean, I get it. Most people have a feeling of shame if they end up homeless. Now, if you've spent any time in New York City, but even here my little city here, but let's talk about New York City because New York City, it's more prevalent, or California, Skid Row, places like that where there is an epidemic, there is a homelessness issue that people will often treat these people like utter garbage. So what's the worst thing? You don't ever want to be a homeless person, right? You don't ever want to be unhoused because you don't want people, it's like built-in shame. But, I'm going to tell you right now, I've lost a lot of my shame. I've lost a lot of my shame. There was a period of time, I told you in my previous video, like 2013, where I didn't have a place to stay for a couple months. For a couple months, I didn't have a place to stay. I was renting a room from somebody that I thought was a friend, somebody that I was loosely related to through marriage. And she was a crazy opioid junkie and alcoholic and cokehead. And I didn't really know the full extent of what kind of lifestyle she was living. Anyway, she and I got into an argument and she kicked me out of her house and I had no place to go. So I ended up, staying in my car for like a couple of months. And it was rough on my body. So that's why I say I don't ever recommend anybody do it. And, I would not recommend women do it because I think it could be a little bit scary for, a certain kind of person. And there's no reason to. But my point is, I don't have shame. Like, you can't shame me for how I'm living. You can't do it. It just doesn't happen. I've done all kinds of things. Okay. I've done all kinds of things in my life that could, for all intents and purposes, more people could cast shame on me or judgment on me for those other lifestyle choices that I've done. I just don't have that shame in me. And I probably, honestly, if I really evaluate myself back then, like, I know that there are certain choices that I probably should have felt bad about, or I should have had shame about. Just wasn't there. Okay. Like, I just didn't see things wrong with the choices I made. So essentially kind of neutral about it. But of course there is programming. We're programmed, whether intentionally, we're programmed. So intentionally, whether you feel the shame, whether you consciously be like, you don't really judge this particular situation on somebody or that particular situation on somebody, the program's in the subconscious. So the subconscious judges, right? But that's all right. So that's my point. My point is, if wealthy people can live this turnkey lifestyle, there's no reason why somebody with a lesser income, I'm not saying like struggling and you can't, you're struggling for income. I'm talking about somebody who has like a decent amount of income and can afford living, whether it's in, like I said, like extended stays, extended stay America, Resident Inn, Hyatt House, mainstay suites, things like that, or just staying at different hotels. Sometimes people have renovation work done at their homes and they have to stay in a hotel, and they stay for an extended period of time with them and their spouse and maybe their dog too. Like, I've met people like that. I met somebody at a hotel I was staying at for a few days. On the floor I was at, and they had their dog, and we were talking, and I was like, you know what? I'm a dog sitter, and he's like, oh, let me have your card, because you never know, I might need you sometime. And he's like, we've been staying here, we got stuff going on in our house, so we've been staying here for a minute, and da 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 da. So there's all kinds of reasons why somebody would stay at a hotel. But really, when you think about it now, and I've said this with like the cost of living going up, right, across the board. There's that. Okay. Let's say you've had a little bit of a black mark on your credit, like I do with the eviction. Even though I willingly took the eviction hit, I willingly vacated that apartment instead of fighting harder for it to pay it off and stay there and not get that eviction. That was a choice I made. So I have that thing on my credit report, which I know can be a little bit difficult. It could. Do I want to deal with that right now? No. If I had as much money as I needed to get myself an apartment right now, I don't know if I would want to deal with having to answer those questions at this moment. But the other thing is the national grid. The cost of electricity for renters even has skyrocketed. And I'm like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like what they're charging a homeowner for all kinds of electricity that they're not even using. That's not even the people using the electricity that are getting stiffed and stuck with these high electric bills. And this was part of like the issue with my brother's house too, because my brother's electric was going up and up and up, and he was blaming me. And how does somebody who's never here use more electricity than the people that are constantly in their rooms with stuff on all the time? How am I the one using the electricity to the point that it's breaking your back? Do you see what I'm saying? But that's not the first time I've had somebody do that. The chick I had the argument with, she tried to do the same thing with me. She wasn't paying her electric bill. That's the problem. Okay? And she had somebody that was growing weed in her house and drying the weed. So that bill was run up by somebody else, and she was trying to blame me. Okay? My point is, my brother's electric bill was going through the roof because of what they're doing with the utilities in this country, what they're doing to the people. Like, you can see the noose tightening around the NPC's necks, the proverbial noose, okay? How, like, you know, things are just getting turned up and turned up and turned up to put astronomical amounts of stress on them. And it's your responsibility for your life to pull yourself out of that. So my point is, after I just made that whole detour, my point is, if you are living in a place like an Airbnb or a hotel or an extended stay hotel or something where you have no lease, you're paying rent, but you have no lease, so you're not tied into a lease, and you can stay there as long as you can pay, and you're not responsible for utility bills. You're not responsible for cleaning. Like, all those things are are provided for you. You'll have maid service clean the rooms. Like, you know, you can vacate your room on the day, every 3 days, whatever, and they'll clean the room for you. There you go. Or, you know, and then, like I said, no utility bills. And I was like, you know what? I'm silly that I haven't started taking advantage of the gym in this hotel sooner, because I need to exercise. I need to work out. I need to either work on the treadmill, get a little weight training going on as well. Why am I not utilizing it? I have a freaking gym that nobody uses in this hotel. I'm going to start using it because I like this hotel and I keep going back to it. So I'm like, I'm going to take it. I'm going to lean into it. I'm going to lean into it. If I want to sleep in that big bed every night with the air conditioner on at 63 because I'm menopausal, I'm going to do it. And nobody can tell me that I can't. And nobody's going to give me a $400 utility bill. So, ta-da! I'm just saying. So, anyway. Now, it's a matter of just, for me personally, being committed to selling my stuff. And that's it. So that's all. It's just another argument for why that kind of living arrangement can be good. There's nothing shameful about it. Wealthy people do it. And if they can do it, if it's good for them, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. That is for sure. And I'm going to roll with it. So you got to think of it that way. And if you do feel shameful about that, well, then that's an inside job that you got to work on, you know? And I'm going to tell you quite honestly, when I was living in my car, I was not feeling ashamed about it. I wasn't, but it was physically just problematic for me because, like, I was having a lot of swelling in my legs and things like that. And I wasn't feeling 100% safe. So that's why I say, you know, but it's just not necessary for a source player. So anyway, that's all. I'm going to bid you all well. Bye.